other speakers to talk about the role of corporations in the election process. We're also going to talk a little bit about the eviction later on, and would be happy to take any questions about that. You want to start, Kate?
Yeah. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, starts out our Constitution, a document written by and for people, living, breathing, human people. In the Bill of Rights and subsequent amendments, rights are extended to human people, like the right to free speech and free assembly. These rights are extended to people who are born and will die, who fight in wars, can live in peace, people who need water, food, shelter, and warmth, people who have complex motivations, morality, beliefs, fears, desires, who raise children, form communities, and are capable of emotions like empathy and love. You know what a person is. No one needs to tell you. But 5 Supreme Court justices have people confused with legal entities whose sole purpose is the accumulation of money. Through a series of court decisions, the United States government has been giving more and more human rights to corporations, creating corporate personhood as a legal fiction, and creating a very real problem for our democracy. We are here to call for the end of corporate personhood, starting with a Common Council resolution from Syracuse.
The most recent expansion of corporate personhood, the Citizens United ruling, equates a person's freedom of speech with a corporation's freedom to influence elections through unlimited torrents of cash. This decision has bolstered the runaway super PACs that flood our airwaves with vile, misleading attack, and it will only get worse in the general election. With this ruling, ExxonMobil can spend its shareholders' money to support whatever candidate will produce the most profits. And Coca-Cola, JP Morgan, and Walmart can do the same thing. They can spend unlimited shareholder funds with limited disclosure. In his dissent of the Citizens United decision, Supreme Court Justice Stevens said, "While American democracy isn't perfect, few outside the majority of this court would have thought its flaws included a dearth of corporate money in politics."
What do we expect from more corporate money in politics? What will be served? People may contribute money to campaigns because they believe in a candidate's moral character, or their ability to fight corruption, or their connection to our sense of liberty and justice. For what end does a fracking company, Chesapeake Energy, contribute unlimited finances? How about Bob Congel's Pyramid Company? The Citizens United decision and the idea of corporate personhood as a whole legalizes corruption. It further ensures that the interests of politicians are not those of the 99%, not those of living, breathing, voting people, but those of the corporations. Who pays the piper will surely call the tune. A few statistics illustrate this. Since the Citizens United ruling, we have seen record highs in spending by outside super PACs. In the 2010 midterm elections, election financing from super PACs rose 437%. In the 2010 House races, the candidates who spent the most money won 85% of the time. In recent years, candidates with the most money have won as much as 98% of congressional seats.
More money from more concentrated funders with less disclosure than ever equals ruinous effects on the democratic voting process in this country. Luckily, 80% of the American public opposes the Citizens United ruling and want to limit the amount of corporate financing of politics. And cities across the country are rising up in response. We want to take back the election process for living, breathing people, people who run on more than greed and profit. That work starts here in Syracuse. We are outside the federal building today because the cure for the disease of corporate spending is federal. We need to amend the Constitution with a clear definition of rights for human people. We need this amendment so that elected officials at local, state, and federal levels can have the freedom to determine the limits of corporate spending on the election processes and limit the rights of corporations in ways that defend and strengthen our country. But while an amendment to the Constitution is our goal, the momentum starts locally. We want states across the country to rise up and call for a constitutional amendment. And we will do this by individual municipalities declaring their support. To that end, we would like to announce a campaign that calls on the Syracuse Common Council to write a resolution in support of democratic elections and against corporate personhood. City councils in Albany, Los Angeles, and New York City have already risen to the call. We have a model resolution to present our Syracuse Common Council, and we have petitions to sign and information on how to contact your Common Councilor here and online at occupysyracuse.org. This campaign is poetic justice, really. What was determined by 5 unelected judges will be recalled community by community, city by city, state by state, a grassroots movement of the living, breathing people against legislation written by and for the 1%. This is what democracy looks like. Woo!